Right. I think we are live, and I don't know because without Creaky here to hold my hand, unsurprisingly I've had a technical hitch. So if you can let me know in the chat if I'm live or not, we'll just wait, Jamie, until somebody says we are live because
Yeah,
I think
I
we
see
get used to me.
I see we're showing up now. Yeah,
Yeah, we are there. We're live. So
yeah.
fantastic, right? And I don't think I've got to touch anything for this screen. We're not stream. We're not presenting anything or anything like that. So I think that's it. We're good. Right. Well, welcome Sunday afternoon. And this it's not going to be a long stream. This one. Let me introduce the guest, and we'll get into what this is all about. So, to the left of me or the right of me, depending on which way around you got your phone, I have Vegan Realist, who your old channel was Jamie Brown, wasn't it? That was your old channel.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
And we met. God, when did we meet? How long ago was it now that we met?
it was just after Christmas.
We met after Christmas, and I did promise that we were going to get Jamie on. We were going to do a bit of an interview for, he's an ex-flat earther, and we never quite got round to it, which was all my fault. So I thought we'd have a nice Sunday afternoon chat today, and take any questions you've got. If you look on the community tab for this channel, you'll see I've put a little post up where you can put any questions you want to ask Jamie about, flat Earth and his belief in the flat Earth or how he came out of it, anything like that. And we'll rattle through those all pretty quick. But first of all, Jamie, I'm going to pass over to you so you can tell people about your new channel, which I will link in the description now. And just tell people what you're up to at the minute. Off you go.
All right, so yeah, my channel Vegan Realist. It's I do a lot of live streaming pretty much every single day. I have lots of different topics, and I've guests on sometimes, and anything goes really. I don't
just a chilled live stream chat. A bit like this one, a bit like this. Except I think you're probably a bit better when it comes to the technical side of it.
So I don't know about that.
Before we get to the questions, there is something that is really important to clear up. Okay, and I hope you don't mind me bringing this up. But when we did meet, we played about 5 games of pool, didn't we? I just can't remember, Jamie, what the score was. Who won?
Yeah, you won by quite a
margin.
Yeah.
Was it every single frame?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thanks for bringing that up.
No problem. But it was one of those dodgy tables, wasn't it? Tight pockets. So, Jamie, right, let's start at the beginning. I'm just going to talk to you for like 5 or 10 minutes. That's it. Then I'm going to go straight over to the community poll. I'm going to ask you the questions that the subscribers are asking you because, because why not? So you started off as a YouTube flat earther. When you had your YouTube channel, was it because you were a flat earther, or did you become a flat earther after you started the channel?
No, I had another channel that I posted, and then I created a new one just for posting about flat Earth, because I wanted to keep it separate from the other channel, so I started up a channel about flat Earth, sort of saying why I think it's flat, and it sort of evolved into doing hangouts and stuff. But yeah.
Well, because I think when I started and I was like looking around flat Earth and stuff, I think you were about 2,000 subs, were you? Or
yeah, about that. Yeah, that was what I sort of peaked at on the old channel.
Yeah, and I remember looking at that and thinking, you got quite a lot of people in, and a lot of the familiar faces you see around now were often in your chat. So I think the question everybody's going to want to be asking, I don't even have to click on the community tab. I'm sure somebody's going to be asking you, what made you get into, what was like the straw that broke the camel's back that made you think, oh, you know what, the Earth is definitely flat. That's what I think now.
Well, for me, it was that I thought we could see things too far away, than the mathematics would allow for on a globe of circumference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it was more like the seeing too far rather than just like the arguments like water find its level and stuff. It was more the
Yeah,
observation.
I mean, I didn't really use that as an argument. It was, yeah, that didn't really
Just yeah, more
resonate
the
with me. Like,
distances. So like when you were around then, you'll have had people around like Miles Davis at the time, and Jen Panda and Ruhif was around. Just trying to think of all the people that were there long before me. There were loads of people around at the time. Even then, making videos sort of like debunking these long range observations or applying sort of like the correct maths to it, if you like, or giving the correct explanations or criticizing observer heights, etc., stuff like that. Did you ever watch any of those videos, or
I
was
watched
it
a
a
few
case?
videos, and the more of them I started to watch, then I started to have more doubts.
Right,
Um,
go on.
yeah, like that. Yeah, so I mean, but at the beginning, I didn't really watch a lot of it because um, maybe part of it was because I don't know, maybe deep down I didn't want it to be wrong or something. I don't know what it was.
But you did what you
But
did watch them. You did because a lot of the flat earthers I speak to won't even they won't watch or listen at all to any of the debunking side of the argument. So when they do watch and listen to them, they're not paying attention and they'll just they'll just throw away a comment like maths proves nothing, or you've just shown me a cartoon or something, you've just shown me a drawing and I'm not interested. They don't seem to pay any attention to them. But you did actually sit down and would you say that it was those debunking videos that changed your mind?
I
Like,
would
and
say
how
so.
long
It
did?
was a lot of the theodolite observations and stuff like that really made me question it. That that, for instance, like if you observe a height of so many feet, and then you're looking out at an object that's higher up, then it should never be the top of it should never be below where the crosshairs meet.
On a, if you've got
Yeah,
the camera absolutely level.
yeah,
Um,
it's like it's completely leveled. Yeah,
so just going back to the beginning, you talked about these observations, right? Something must have made you aware of people saying that we could see too far. So I guess what I'm getting at is, were you watching other YouTube flat earthers who were just stating arguments, and that's what dragged you into it? And if so, who was it that you were watching at the
yeah.
time?
Well, I think the main one that really kind of got me into it um, was um, Darren Nesbitt.
Oh, Darren
He
Neves,
was
that's not
doing
a
a
name I'm familiar with.
presentation. Uh,
Is he still around?
I don't know. I don't know what's really going on with them much these days. I don't really follow it.
Right. So he was the guy. He was the guy that got you into it, though. You were watching him, and
Yeah, well, that was like one of the first videos that I ever watched, and I was like watching it through, and it was talking about how we can see all these landmarks, and like some of them would be like over 100 miles away.
and that, yeah. I mean, like when you get, if you've got someone who's speaking with a lot of confidence and a lot of authority, and they're sort of like stating facts, um, it's impossible we should be seeing this far. These are the distances, these are the elevation heights. If they speak with a lot of authority, they can be quite persuasive, can't they? They can, it can be quite easy just to take on board what they're saying. But like we said, it's a good job that you watched those debunking videos to change your mind. How long did it take you when you started? Like, how long did it take you from like first hearing about flat Earth idea to then being a flat earther?
Like not really long at all. I mean, I heard about it, and like within a few days, really, I sort of was completely convinced. Like just thought there's no way that we could be on a ball, and hearing all these other arguments and stuff, and it's just all thought, nah, there's no way. But
so it's quite a quick. Was it a YouTube education then? Like it was quite a quick YouTube education.
Basically, like just started watching other videos like Eric Debay and Veganism and ODD and all these other YouTube flat earthers.
But fair play to you though, because I mean we've spoke to Seek Truth, Speak Truth, who's quite well known in the community now, and what you've both done, which I think is very impressive, is you've both stuck around afterwards. You've both come around and said, "Oh, you know what, I was wrong," but you've stayed on YouTube, albeit you've revamped your channel, you've changed the name, etc. But you've stuck around and you're willing to say, "Yeah, I was wrong." And I know Seek Truth, Speak Truth has had quite a nasty backlash from that from a lot of the flat earthers. How was it for you? Did people kind of leave you alone? Did they bother you for it? Did you?
No, they didn't really. It just kind of. I noticed that, like my old channel, it kind of started to die down a bit after a while. They just seemed to kind of like lost some subscribers, and they just kind of, they just didn't. Yeah, they weren't really that interested in my channel anymore because they thought, well, he's not a flat earther anymore. So
there were no like accusations of you being a shill or a liar.
Well, I mean, I probably would have had something, but I just didn't really pay attention to it. To be honest, I don't really care. Like,
yeah, to be honest, that's it. I mean, I get comments like that all the time, and I'm the same. I don't really care. And if I see the comments and they're funny, I'll put them into a video to have a laugh at them. But I'm not really not really that way myself. Right? Should we have a look at some of the questions that the chat have got for you then? So if you've been posting questions in the actual comment section, you're gonna have to go to the community tab. And if you're on a mobile phone, I don't think. Oh, my mouse. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I keep forgetting when I do that. People can see the mouse. Right. Right. If you are on a mobile phone, you won't have access, or on a tablet, you won't have access to the community tab. So if you tag me in the chat, I'll try and look out for it. But I'm going to go for the ones on the community tab first. So let's see who we've got. Let me refresh that page. Are you ready, Jamie? I don't know what we're going to get here. Okay. So the first question is from Archivist17. Who says he'd like to hear about your transition, the slip into FE, what piqued your interest, what convinced you, and how did your doubts appear? So I think you've talked about how you slipped into it. You talked about the Darren Nesbitt video, the observations, etc. But where did your doubts start? Like, I know you said you did start to doubt it, but can you remember specifically where those doubts started? What it was that kind of got those cogs?
It was, like I said, it was some of the theodolite stuff that that things were appearing too low for it to work on a flat Earth.
And that was from like a range of debunking channels, was it, or was it?
Yeah, well, pretty much like a few channels. There was one that he did a video a long time ago called Flat Earth Mountain of Evidence. So it was actually pro Flat Earth, but he actually put a video out since then, like a couple of videos where he did it was a water level test. So he had like bottles with water filled in them, and they were like sort of dangling down, and they would sort of line it up. So it was, and it was a way to tell if it had what sort of level that the mountain was in the distance. It was below where the center is. So
I've seen that before. So like using the water almost to find a level, and then I think there's quite a few good pictures like that on Metabunk, and didn't Sly Sparkane do something similar recently as well, using water as like, I suppose, almost like a theodolite. Almost. Right, Joe Howard, he asked this 2 hours ago. So he said, basically he was asking, who was your main influence? So when you were a flat earther, who was the guy? I know you talked about Darren Nesbitt was the one who got you into it, But who, once you were into it, who were like your main influences? Who did you listen to? Who did you follow? And did you hold?
Well, for a time, it was actually Del from Beyond the Imaginary Curve.
Well, thing is, like with people like Del and Nathan, they do, they do command like big audiences, don't they? And they can be quite articulate. I mean, scientifically, what they say doesn't hold any merit, but they can be quite articulate and they can be very confident in what they're saying. And when that like we said before, that goes a long way. You know, if you've got sort of a belief and you've got somebody being articulate and confident and putting like trying to reinforce that belief for you. You know, I think a lot of people are in the same position with people like Del and Nathan. But like I say, once you start really examining the science behind it, there's nothing there. What he does say as well, Joe, is do you hold any grudge against the people that were influencing you, or like do you think maybe they they cost you months of your life that you'll never get back?
Well,
chasing something?
I suppose it kind of was kind of led down a path of kind of irrationality, and I started to sort of look into some pretty weird stuff, and I suppose that I kind of made me sort of not really focus on my life, because that was sort of becoming my life. So so I mean,
I think what you just said there is important, because Seek to Speak to said a similar thing, that it becomes almost like an obsession, and that's the problem I've got with it. It does take over, because if you do believe something like that, then everything becomes a mystery to you, everything, and that is gonna make you obsessive. I think that's the dangerous part about it. It's not like talking about, was JFK assassinated, was it a conspiracy or not. You don't become obsessive, and it doesn't affect your life like Flat Earth does. So Luke Spellman says, did you ever really really believe it, or was it just an interesting sort of fun story to look into? I'll paraphrase that.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, it was like I was convinced for quite some time that that they were sort of hiding the true shape of the Earth.
So it was a definite, so it wasn't just something you were curious about. It was a definite belief. And okay, Bobby Hoke says, what was the penny drop moment that you became sort of like deprogrammed from Flat Earth? Asking for a friend, he says. What was a penny drop moment?
I think it was just the accumulation of things, really, that I don't know what at the exact moment. It might have been the stuff that Miles Davis were putting out, possibly.
He's done some superb stuff. His observation, was it from Trypain Law? Trypain.
Yeah.
I pronounced that wrong. He's done some awesome stuff, and he's very articulate as well, isn't he, Miles? And puts it across really well. So we've got more to go. Son of Viking. Let's have a look. This is a long one. Did your voluntary susceptibility to disingenuous doctrine that encourages not... It's a tongue twister, this one. That encourages not just denial, but an outright contempt for reality never once make you a tad fearful for your own mental health? So in other words, do you think Flat Earth had a negative effect on your mental health while you were in there?
I suppose it would make me not sort of trusting in a lot of people, that think, oh well, these people are probably shills or something, because they're if they're pushing certain narrative, then they must be paid agents or whatever, like.
Hey, did you honestly, because I get that levelled at me a lot, did you honestly believe that like some people out there on the internet were paid shills? Or?
Well, I questioned a lot of people whether they were you know, what the like motives were and stuff.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot. There seems to be some channels that pop up now that's all they do. You know, they won't even attempt to talk about science or maths or geometry or anything like that. They'll just make video after video asking, "Oh, is this YouTuber a shill or not? Is this YouTuber a shill or not?" And it seems to be like, the direction a lot of people are taking. Neil Sullivan asked a question, and I'm be honest, I'm not too sure what this means. Does the physical law of causality mean you are bound to believe either way? It's just a pattern of atoms in the brain. Or to get all quantum, are those atoms all in a wave function branch that is mine? I'm not sure, not sure what to make of that one. What do you think? We'll move on. But no, I think what he's saying, Neil, though, is it just a case that either way, you know, are you the type of person either way where you're just going to have a belief in something? You know, is that some? Would you say that's part of your personality? You just, you know, that you like to invest faith in certain things, or?
I'm trying to get away from belief, really. Just like if I don't know something, then I won't invest belief in it.
I think absolutely. Let's see what else we've got. Winston Smith. This is one about your veganism. We'll get onto that after these questions. But ask him if his avatar implies that he thinks coffee is meat. Putting leaves and an orange cross section reminds me of a marketing wank they put on their petroleum products. Do you think coffee's meat?
Coffee? How is coffee meat? Like,
I don't know. I'm guessing that none of us think coffee is meat. Wrist Art says, what percentage of flat earthers do you think honestly believe the earth is flat? And I think that's a good question.
It's like, I think most of the big ones don't, but I think most of the smaller ones like they do, but like, to what degree I don't know. Like, but I think a lot of them just do. Well, I don't know if maybe it's just kind of thing where they want it to be true. But
I agree with you 100%. I think the bigger ones out there, the people like your Jonisms, etc., your Nathan Oakleys, who certainly the ones who are making a lot of money off it, I think that ship has sailed for them a long time ago. I don't think they believe that at all. But you're right that because they are trying to put arguments out, and people who maybe struggle to understand, things, they become victim to that kind of propaganda, don't they? So I think the smaller ones, they do genuinely believe what the likes of Jonism, and Nathan are saying, etc. Okay. One from Martin H. Do you think that a better education in basic astronomy at school would have helped prevent you from falling for flat Earth?
Yeah, I think so. It's, but I don't know, because I don't know a lot of people, so they don't really pay attention in school, so they might not have really listened to what was being said and took it in. So, I mean, maybe if it was taught in a more interesting way, that they would be more likely to listen.
I think there's a lot. I mean, the fact is, brought up astronomy. I used to teach astronomy GCSE, and there's some fantastic stuff in that. It's really interesting, but it's not one of the sort of like the mainstream subjects, and we always had to teach it as like an extracurricular GCSE. So we had kids coming back at dinner times after school, doing it like voluntarily, and that it was great. There was some brilliant stuff in that. But then the mainstream science that they learn in the classrooms, will be, what's the difference between a sedimentary rock and an igneous rock? And I know that a geologist might tell me how important that is, but I, for the life of me, used to think, God, that is boring. I'd so much rather be teaching the astronomy stuff in the lessons than looking at the differences between rocks. So, I agree with you a little bit on that. Matthew Cole said he'd love to see a live debate about QAnon. So would I. P.H. Rive. What made you believe in flat Earth in the first place? I think we've covered that. What was the reason? Here we go. What was the reason you thought they were hiding the shape of the Earth from us? So not what was the evidence for the flat Earth, but like why did you think they were hiding it, or whoever they were?
Why did they? Well, I mean, I'd heard different theories that it was that there was a dome. They're trying to hide God, and some were saying it was that they were hiding land beyond the poles, and that was more what I kind of thought was possible, like for whatever reason that that they're trying to like keep us in a confined area that stop us from exploring what's beyond.
Sounds to me like, I mean, that would be fascinating. If someone said to me tomorrow there's like an undiscovered land, somewhere, and it's been hidden from us, and if somebody said to me, if somebody could prove to me, it would be fascinating. It would be really, really fascinating, and everyone would get so excited. It's almost like believing that you're living in some kind of sort of like fantasy land, movie land, where I can see how that would add excitement to your everyday life, thinking, oh God, I wonder what is the other side of that dome. I wonder what is the other side of that ice wall. I wonder what we're going to see. And it would give a certain uplifting kind of feel to your daily life. Does that make sense?
Well, it's like you said, it adds an element of mystery into it, doesn't it?
I think, I think that's it. I think, ultimately, that can be quite difficult sort of to let go of, but ultimately it's not based in anything, is it? It's a shame. Shame we don't live in a Hollywood film. Peter Quinn says, what made you come to the dark side? So I assume he means what made you become a flat earther, but I think we've covered that. It was long distance observations. Colon says, when Vegan Realist said he listened to Darren Nesbitt, he's YouTuber Daz Nez. He was the one interviewed on This Morning. And hang on, was his interview on This Morning the first introduction to him and the Flat Earth movement? So did you first see him on This Morning? And if you're from America,
that
This
wasn't
Morning,
the first time I saw him. It was New Horizons St. Anne's.
Was that a YouTube video then?
Pardon?
That was a YouTube video, was it?
Yeah, it was quite a popular video.
For those of you that don't know, if you come from America, This Morning is like an ITV program we have here. It's like a national TV morning breakfast type program. And Darren Nesbitt was on it, and I remember now, and I do know who he is now because I have seen that. Right, we've got Daylong Hair. This is the last question, I think, from the community poll. I'll go and check the chat in a minute. Daylong Hair would like to know why so many flat earthers think science is a religion. Literally everything in science can be tested and verified by anybody. So, yeah, did you have that opinion? Like, did you think that when you were a flat earther and people were talking about astronomy and science and seismology and meteorology and navigation and communications, etc., did you just think that was all some kind of religious belief, or did you still understand that there was real substance and science that was going on?
Well, I mean, I would have called it scientism, like, but I mean, I still thought, like, like real science, that, like, the scientific method and all that. But I thought back then that the science that were about globe Earth and space and all that was all just a bunch of pseudoscience.
That's it, and it's it often amuses me the way people like Sleeping Warrior, etc., will call science pseudoscience, and then pour salt in water and make an egg float and claim that they've debunked, the greatest minds of the 21st century. Traveller X, thank you, super chat $5. He says, understand the pulp fiction excitement of uncovering hidden realms beyond the ice wall, etc. But apart from Mad Mike, has anyone made a legitimate attempt to see what's there, I suppose? Can you think of anyone apart from Mike Hughes who's actually made an attempt to go and look?
Not really. I mean, I know there was that thing that August Pickard that went up to a height of what 50,000 feet or whatever, but you know, it said it. It's sort of like upturned edge. It was like flat with an upturned edge, but he wasn't really intending to see if it was flat or not, though, I don't think.
I know Mr. Sensible is launching a balloon at some undisclosed time and place, which hopefully is going to capture some curvature. But I think that's a really good point Traveller X made. Like when I look back at some old videos from before I was around, from some of the popular flat earthers, they are sat there saying, "Oh, exploration is the key. We need to go and explore, etc." And then 4 or 5 years later, they're still sat there saying, "Oh, exploration's a key." They've not gone anywhere. They've not done anything. You know, so I don't know.
Be full exploration.
Right. I think you've heard that one before. Right, I'm just going to scroll through the chat and see if we've got anybody here. Right. So anyone in the chat that's asked a question, if you've tagged me in, I hopefully will see it. If not, tag me in now. Let's go down. Let's go down. Right. What is Riley's thesis, Mark? Which is an excellent question. Says, relevant point. To what extent did Del from Beyond the Imaginary Curve play in you staying a flat earther for so long? Did he keep you in the flat earth, or was he just someone you watched while you were a flat earther? And
I think it was just someone that I watched that, he'd come on every Saturday night, and I'd just be there like pretty regular, just watching him, with his guests and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, it was, I don't know as to how much of a role he played in me staying flat Earth. I mean, he wasn't the only channel that I watched at the time.
Do you think watching all those videos kept you in it, though? You know, once you'd, like, I guess what I'm saying is, do you think that those channels are harmful? Do you see that, like, they can suck people into a rabbit hole and keep them there?
Well, I mean, I think it's just that, if they're going to make videos about this stuff, there should always be like disclaimers or something.
It's entertainment purposes only.
Well, not just like that, like, don't believe what I say, do your own research. But then again, I suppose if you go on to find some other video that confirms your bias. But I know they started putting like official sources under these sort of videos now, so that when they watch the video, then they can go look at, it's like a Wikipedia article or something after.
Yeah, I get them under mine. Anything with sort of like flat Earth and the title and the tags, you do have that little warning. I think, I often wonder, is it too little, too late, really, because YouTube were responsible for pushing the flat Earth, and to me, that's what a lot of the flat earthers who are crying about censorship, they don't understand. They'll say that now YouTube isn't actively promoting flat Earth, that they're being censored, and they're not being censored because the videos aren't being removed. They're not, they're still allowed the channels. There's no censorship at all. They're just not being promoted. But what they'll never admit to is that YouTube massively promoted flat Earth for a long, long time. It was the very opposite of censorship. They promoted it.
It's ironic that they say that YouTube was censoring them, but yeah, it was they said that they were actually recommended to flat Earth from watching other videos. Maybe it was some conspiracy video or something.
Absolutely. I bet 99.9% of flat earthers out there are flat earthers because they've seen something on YouTube. Every single flat earther I've ever spoke to, and I'd love to speak to someone who says different. Every single flat earther I've ever spoke to says, yeah, I watched this video on YouTube, or I watched that video on YouTube. When YouTube was pushing it out to everybody. Let's have another look. Rune Thornson, good to see you, Rune. What convinced you the Earth was I think we've covered this one actually, but he's asking again, what convinced you it was flat to begin with? And you talked about the observations, and then what proof swayed you back? And you talked about theodolites and that dip over the horizon, didn't you?
Yeah, and also another thing I didn't mention is because when I was looking into the like balloon footage, and I was sort of like Dwayne Callum's videos, and I think he actually debunks himself. You actually do see a bit of curvature on it sometimes, like when you get to like 117,000 or 120,000 feet or whatever, that you do start seeing like it curving down at the sides.
Yeah, I think when flat earthers take those videos of air balloons or something, it's very, very telling how often what they'll do is clip out the section, especially if it's a fisheye lens, clip out the section that makes it look perfectly flat, and then claim that's proof of flat Earth. But every now and then they get the editing just a little bit wrong, don't they? And you can you can see what's gone on. Oh, we have a super chat from General E Shady. He says flirts need education by a baseball bat. I don't. It certainly doesn't mean you, I'm sure. No point trying to show them anything. Just punching the information hard like a crap computer. Slap it. They are not my words, but to be honest, I do agree with the fact that he says there's no point in trying to show them anything. I've had a couple of debates on this channel with flat earthers recently, and this isn't a flat earth channel. It's not going that way. It's just the way things have panned out in recent weeks. But I've tried to discuss things like seismology. I've tried to discuss things like the Eötvös effect. I've tried to discuss things like astronomy. I've tried to discuss information from satellites like the Grey satellite. And every single time I even raise those points and I pass it to the flat earther to reply to it, they don't respond to it. They change the subject immediately. They're not interested. And I think that's the point. There is no point trying to show flat earthers because they're not interested in learning. But you obviously were, because you did watch and listen and take it on board, and as a result of that, I guess you're not a flat earther now. What would you say flat earthers are as open-minded as they claim?
Honestly, no. I think what's happened is they've opened their mind up at the beginning, and then they become a flat earther, then they close their mind.
I agree 100%, absolutely 100%. The amount of comments I get on my channel, and I'll respond with a simple question, well, what about this? What about this? Don't want to talk about it, it's incredible. Right, anyway, let's see. Oh, Hellbound Heathen says hello. I've got to get you back on. I really enjoyed that magic chat, actually. So if you're still in the chat, give us an email. Okay. Brian Bridgewood says I should try telling you a joke. Knock knock. Okay, we'll move on. And we have another super chat from Stringer News. No Creaky is Catz and ex Kyle. Yeah, no, there is no Creaky. Yeah, you know what? I'm just going to explain that for people in the chat. When we set this up, me and Creaky, we always said we're going to do our Wednesday night show, and if anybody fancied doing something a little bit different, it was on them. All right, so no, me and Creaky do Wednesday night, and yeah, I just fancied doing this today, so I've fired up. But Creaky's having a well-deserved rest. Okay, Peter Quinn says, always got to have some sort of education every day, whether it's astronomy, space, science, or history, etc. It's a good point. Tommy Hench is in the chat, and I really, really enjoyed the chat I did have with him the other day. I will point out that exactly 1 hour, 39 minutes and 24 seconds, he does admit that there's no proof for flat Earth. And in the next conversation, I would like to actually talk about some of those scientific things where you told me things like the Eötvös effect, seismology, astronomy. So it'd be nice for you to come back when we have, when we've got that available. Mars Bar, can you ask Jamie? I'm not going to ask that because I'm not sure if that's a troll question or not. Okay, so I think if I just check the community page, I think we've come to the end of all the questions. One more. from John Rapp, when you were a flat earther, did you understand the science? So like when people talk to you about refraction, when people talk to you about geometry and the angles to Polaris, when people talk to you about gas pressure properly rather than just repeating the question, you know, show me gas pressure without a container. Did you actually understand the science?
Well, for a while I didn't really. I mean, with the refraction, it was. I just kind of thought, that's just an excuse that they're bringing up because we can see too far. Like, it was, I didn't really look too much into it. So
I think you've hit the nail on.
Polaris, I think, like, I sort of started to like see stuff about Polaris angles, and then, and then I was like, oh well, you know, we're in a, you know, like a subjective reality. We're in a bubble. You know, there's a lens in effect that it's unique to each observer or something, some kind of pseudo science like that. Yeah,
people making up. People do make up some spectacular stuff on the flat Earth. I mean, like Tommy's still in the chat, and I'll be honest, I really enjoyed the debate I had with him, the discussion I had with him this week. He was an absolute gentleman, but, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying, he followed that trend. He just made up some spectacular nonsense about why we have a gas pressure gradient, brought no evidence for it whatsoever, but then when presented with, and this goes to do you really understand the science, when presented with actual science, didn't want to have the conversation, you know, wouldn't talk about certain things because, again, when you've gone down that route and become a flat earther, the only, like, you can only remain a flat earther if you remain ignorant, if you like, to the actual scientific arguments. Have you ever seen a flat earther who's able to talk about geometry properly and astronomy properly and seismology properly? You know, who would you say the most educated flat earther you've met is?
I'm not sure, really. I don't really find that educated, and they seem to be missing a lot, you know, some crucial information that would like throw it all into question. So whether that's the, you know, the ignorant or what, I don't know.
Christopher Hugan, $5 says, I have a question. Was the ice wall salt water or fresh water? What do you think?
Well, I heard it was the water that was near the. Oh, you mean on the ice wall? Or?
I think he's just joking. I think would the ice wall be salt water or fresh water? I think he's joking with that. Right. Okay. I think that's all the questions I've got for you from Flat Earth. So let's switch. Vegan. You're a vegan now?
Yeah.
How long have you been vegan?
Coming up to 2 years this year.
And was it difficult? Like, like what? And I know this is an ignorant question because some people will say, "Oh, you're vegan, but do you eat fish? Do you eat this? Do you eat that?" So I am going to be that ignorant person. What do you eat? Absolutely nothing that comes from any animal whatsoever. Would it be extended to milk?
Yeah, if it comes from an animal, I won't eat it. So,
and was that difficult to get?
No, not really. I sort of transitioned. Like, I went vegetarian for a while and started to eat less animal products, and yeah, it just wasn't really that difficult for me. I mean, I enjoyed like pastas and stuff, so it wasn't really that big for me. I wasn't like the biggest meat eater, so like,
another super chat from Generally Shady. I'm going to paraphrase this one. I think Multi Tom Tom is uneducated, I think is what he said there. You can read that in the chat yourself.
What?
But yeah, Multi Tom Tom, I think, is a flat earth in the chat. Who's
I know who he is. He used to come to my chats once upon a time.
He is a broken ankle, apparently 3 feet lower than female genitals. I think, yeah, people can read that one. I think Multi Tom Tom, you are a little bit uneducated, I think, is what he's trying to say. So, This was never going to be a massively long stream. It was just a chance for people to ask you some questions about your time in Flat Earth. I will drop a link to your channel in the description now, and there's one in the description. Is there anything else you want to say before we wrap this up?
Not really. Just yeah, if you if you could like come over to my channel and see what it's about, I'd much appreciate that. Yeah, everyone's welcome.
Yeah, that. Some good conversations go on over there. I might bother myself at some point. Right, fantastic.
Right.
Like I said, the link is in the description. Thanks for coming on. I'm just going to say that I did see one or two comments in the chat, like, have I given up on the whole Conspiracy Cats and Baldy Catz thing? I haven't at all. I've just been massively, massively busy in my own life. But this week, there is a collaboration coming out with Sir Sick on the Conspiracy Catz channel and the Sir Sick channel. We've each made a video, and it would be great if you could go and watch both of them. And at the end of next week, there's another Baldy Catz video coming out. So my schedule is all over the place, but definitely Conspiracy Catz and Baldy Catz are very much alive and kicking. You just got to be patient with me sometimes. So, awesome. Everybody,